श्रीकृष्ण शरणं मम गोपिका जीवनस्मरणं गोविन्दा गोविन्दा सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय। शुक्लांभरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये। नमो नमः सद्गुरुभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो नमः सद्गुरुभ्यो नमो नमः। सच्चिदानन्दरूपाय विश्वोत्पत्त्यादिहेतवे तापत्रय विनाशाय श्रीकृष्णाय वयं नुमः। यं प्रव्रजन्तमनुपेतमपेतकृत्यं द्वैपायनो विरहकातर आजुहाव पुत्रेति तन्मयतया तरवोऽभिनेदुः तं सर्वभूतहृदयं मुनिमानतोऽस्मि। यस्वानुभावमखिल श्रुतिसारमेकम् अध्यात्मदीपम् अतितितीर्षतां तमोऽन्धं संसारिणां करुणयाः पुराणगुह्यं तं व्याससूनुम् उपयामि गुरुं मुनीनां। योगीन्द्राय नमस्तस्मै शुकाय ब्रह्मरूपिणे संसारसर्पदष्टं यो विष्णुरातम् अमूमुचत्। कालव्यालमुखग्रास त्रासनिर्नाशहेतवे श्रीमद्भागवतं शास्त्रं कलौकीरेण भाषितम्। एतस्मादपरं किञ्चित् मनःशुद्ध्यै न विद्यते जन्मान्तरे भवेत् पुण्यं तदा भागवतं लभेत्। ज्ञानवैराग्यसम्पूर्णान् हरिभक्तिपरायणान् पूर्वाचार्यातहं वन्दे सम्प्रदायप्रवर्तकान्। भगवन्नाम साम्राज्य लक्ष्मी सर्वस्व विग्रहं श्रीमद्बोधेन्द्र योगीन्द्र देशिकेन्द्रम् उपास्महे। कलिकालोचितं धर्मं नाम संकीर्तनात्मकं निर्णेतुम् अवतीर्णं तं प्रेमिकं सद्गुरुं भजे। हरे रामेति कृष्णेति नाम संकीर्तनं सदा लोकक्षेमाय कुर्वन्तं प्रेमिकं सद्गुरुं भजे। जन्माद्यस्य यतोऽन्वयात् इतरतश्चार्तेष्वभिज्ञस्वराट् तेने ब्रह्महृदाय आदिकवये मुह्यन्ति यत्सूरयः। तेजो वारिमृदां यथा विनिमयो यत्र त्रिसर्गो मृषा धाम्ना स्वेन सदा निरस्तकुहकं सत्यं परं धीमहि। धर्मः प्रोज्झितकैतवोऽत्र परमो निर्मत्सराणां सतां वेद्यं वास्तवमत्र वस्तु शिवदं तापत्रयोन्मूलनं। श्रीमद्भागवते महामुनिकृते किं वा परैरीश्वरः सद्यो हृद्यवरुध्यते प्रकृतिभिः शुश्रूषिभिस्तत्क्षणात्। निगमकल्पतरोर्गलितं फलं शुकमुखात् अमृतद्रवसंयुतं पिबत भागवतं रसमालयं मुहुरहो रसिका भुवि भावुकाः। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। श्रीमद्भागवताख्योऽयं प्रत्यक्षः कृष्ण एव हि स्वीकृतोऽसि मया नाथ मुक्त्यर्थं भवसागरे। मनोरथो मदीयोऽयं सफलः सर्वथा त्वया निर्विघ्नेनैव कर्तव्यो दासोऽहं तव केशव। श्रीहरये नमः श्रीहरये नमः श्रीहरये नमः। गोपिका जीवनस्मरणं गोविन्दा गोविन्दा सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय। Good afternoon, everyone. Okay, so I think we have from 25, we have to do a review of 2.5. So we can each do 12 stanzas. That will get us to the 7 of 2.6. Shobha, can you do one? And then Sindhuji, can you do one?
Sure.
Inga first pandrela Shobha.
Sure. तामसादभिभूतादे तामसादिभिभूतातेः विकुर्वाणाद पुन्नभः तस्य मात्रा गुणशब्दो लिङ्गं यदृश्य यो दृष्टयोः नाभसोत विकुर्वाणाद् नभसोद विकुर्वाणाद् भूत्स्पर्शगुणो
विकुर्वाणात् अभूत्स्पर्श.
Yes. अभूत्स्पर्शद गुणो निलः परान्व्याच पदभ्यांश प्राणोजस्सहो बलम् वरयोरपि विकुर्वाणाद् कालकर्म लभावतः उत्पद्यत तेजो வை ஹீரோ இருக்காங்க
இல்ல அந்த there is a full உதபத்யத தேஜோ வை
उदपत्यत तेजो वै रूपवत् स्पर्शवत्तवत् तेजसस्तु विकुर्वाणात् आसीदम्बोरसात्मकं रूपवत् स्पर्श पश्चाम्बो घोषवच्च परान्वयात् विशेषस्तु विकुर्वाणात् अभ्यसो गन्धवानभूत्
im sound ambhaso
अम्बसो गन्धवानभूत् परानवयात् रसवर्षः शब्दगुण
स्पर्श
शब्दरूपगुणान्वितः वैकारिकान् मनोजज्ञे देवा वैकारिकादशः दिग्वादर् कप्रषेदोऽस्मि वह्नीन्द्रोपेन्द्र मित्रकाः तैजसा तु विकुर्वाणात् इन्द्रियाणि दशाभवन् ज्ञानशक्ति क्रियाशक्तिः वृदने बुद्धि प्राणस्य तैजसौ श्रोत्रं त्वत्करणात् दृग्जिह्वा वाक्तो श्रोत्रं त्वत्करणात् दृग्जिह्वा அது டியூன் போயிடுது
அந்த செகண்ட் லைனோட டியூன் ஸ்ரோத்ரம் த்வக்ரான த்ரிக்ஜிஹ்வா வாக்தோர் மேடாங்கிரிபாயவஹ
ஸ்ரோத்ரம் த்வக்கரணாத் த்ருக்ஜிஹ்வா வாக்தோர்
மேடாங்கிரிபாயவஹ
யதேதேஷங்கதா பாவா பூதேந்திரியமகோ மனோகுணாः யதா யதன निर्माणे न श्रीगुर्ब्रह्मविद्तमम् तदा सम्यत्य चान्योन्यं भगवच्छक्तिचोदिताः सदसत्वमुपादाय चोभयं शुश्रुजुर्ह्यतः वर्षभूगसहस्रान्ते तदण्डमुदकेशयं कालकर्म स्वभावस्थो जीवो जीवमजीवयत् स एव पुरुषस्तस्माद् अंडम निर्भित्य निर्गतः सहस्रोर्वङ्ग्रिया वक्षः सहस्रान न शीर्षवान् यस्येहाय वैरोकान् कल्पयन्ति मनीक्षिणः कट्यादिभिरत शब्दोर्त्वं जगनादिभिः पुरुषस्य मुखब्रह्म तत्र मेधस्य बाहवः पूर्वोर्वैश्यो भगवतः बद्भ्यां पद्भ्यां शूद्रोऽभ्यजायत
அந்த வேர்ட் शूद्रोऽभ्यजायत
भूर्लोककल्पितपद्भ्यां भुवर्लोकोऽस्य नाभिदः हृदा स्वर्लोक उरसा महर्लोको महात्मनः ग्रीवायां जनलोकश्च तपोलोकस्तनद्वयाद् मूर्धभिः सत्यलोकस्तु ब्रह्मलोकसनातनः तत्कट्यां जादलं क्लप्तम् ऊरुभ्यां विदलं विभोः जानुभ्यां सुदलं शुद्धं जङ्घाभ्यां तु तलादलं महादलं तु गुल्फाभ्यां प्रपदाभ्यां रसादलं पादालं पादतलदः इति लोकमयपुमान् भूर्लोककल्पितपद्भ्यां भुवर्लोकोऽस्य नाभिदः स्वर्लोककल्पितो मूर्ध्ना इति वा लोककल्पना इति श्रीमद्भागवते महापुराणे पारमहंस्यां संहितायां द्वितीयस्कन्धे पञ्चमोऽध्यायः। अथ षष्ठोऽध्यायः। ब्रह्म उवाच वाजां वह्नेर्मुखं क्षेत्रं छन्दसां सप्तधातवः हव्यगव्यामृतानां जिह्वा सर्वरसस्य च सर्वासूनां च वायोश्च तन्नासे परमायने अश्विनोरोषधीनां च घ्राणो मोदप्रमोदयोः रूपाणां तेजसां चक्षुः दिवः सूर्यस्य चाक्षिणी कर्णौ दिशां चतुर्थानां श्रोत्रमाकाशशब्दयोः तद्गात्रं वस्तु साराणां सौभगस्य च भाजनम् त्वगस्य स्पर्शवायोश्च सर्वमेधस्य चैव हि रोमाण्युद्भिज्जादीनां यैर्वा यज्ञस्तु सम्प्रदः केशस्मसृणघान्यस्य शिलालोहा ब्रविद्युदाम् बाहवो लोकपालानां प्रायशः क्षेमकर्माणां क्षेमकर्मणां विक्रमो भूर्भुवस्वश्च क्षेमस्य शरणस्य च सर्वकामवरस्यापि हरेश्चरण आस्पदम् अपां वीरस्य सर्गस्य पर्जन्यस्य प्रजापतेः पुंसशिष्ण उपस्तस्तु प्रजात्यानन्दनिर्वृतेः.
Stop there. All right, we'll start from 8 right now. Okay, let me just see who I had today. I think Vasu is not on today. Priya, you can be student, and Anandji, you can be student first half. So, Payur Yamasya Mitrasya, comma, Parimokshasya Narada, Himsaya Nirrither Mrityoho. So, put a Visarghan, comma, Mrityoho. Then on top of the ni, there is a ir that will go away. Nirayasya Gudas Smritaha. Payuryamasya mitrasya parimokshasya narada himsaya nirriter mrityoho nirayasya gudasmritaha.
पायुर्यमस्य मित्रस्य परिमोक्षस्य नारद हिंसाया निरृतेर्मृत्योः निरयस्य गुदस्मृतः पायुर्यमस्य मित्रस्य परिमोक्षस्य नारद हिंसाया निरृतेर्मृत्योः निरयस्य गुदस्मृतः
पायुर्यमस्य मित्रस्य परिमोक्षस्य नारद हिंसाय निर्दितेर्मृत्योः निरयस्य गुदस्मृतः पायुर्यमस्य मित्रस्य परिमोक्षस्य नारद हिंसाय निर्दितेर्मृत्योः निरयस्य गुदस्मृतः.
That word just to the second line, nirrither. Okay.
Nirrither.
Yeah.
Okay.
Parabhuter adharmasya. If you want to break at that ra, parabhuter adharmasya, comma, tamasas chapi paschimah, nadyo nada nadinam tu, comma, gotranam asti samhatihi. Parabhuteradharmasya tamasaschapi paschimah nadyo nadanadinam tu gotranam asti samhatihi.
पराभूतेरधर्मस्य तमसश्चापि पश्चिमः नाट्यो नदनदीनां तु गोत्राणामस्ति संहतिः पराभूतेरधर्मस्य तमसश्चापि पश्चिमः नाट्यो नदनदीनां तु गोत्राणामस्ति संहतिः
पराभूतेरधर्मस्य तमसश्चापि पश्चिमः नाट्यो नदनदीनां तु गोत्राणामस्ति संहतिः पराभूतेरधर्मस्य तमसश्चापि पश्चिमः नाट्यो नदनदीनां तु गोत्राणामस्ति संहतिः.
अव्यक्त रस सिन्धूनां कम भूतानां निधनस्य च उदरं विदितं पुंसो कम हृदयं मनसः पदम्. अव्यक्त रस सिन्धूनां भूतानां निधनस्य च उदरं विदितं पुंसो हृदयं मनसः पदम्.
अव्यक्तरससिन्धूनां भूतानां निधनस्य च उदरं विदितं पुंसो हृदयं मनसः पदम् अव्यक्तरससिन्धूनां भूतानां निधनस्य च उदरं विदिदं पुंसो हृदयं मनसः पदम्
अव्यक्तरससिन्धूनां भूतानां निदनस्य च उदरं विदितं पुंसो हृदयं मनसः पदम् अव्यक्तरससिन्धूनां भूतानां निधनस्य च उदरं विदितं पुंसो हृदयं मनसः पदम्
धर्मस्य मम तुभ्यं च कुमाराणां भवस्य च विज्ञानस्य च सत्त्वस्य परस्यात्मा परायणम् धर्मस्य मम तुभ्यं च कुमाराणां भवस्य च विज्ञानस्य च सत्त्वस्य परस्यात्मा परायणम्
धर्मस्य मम तुभ्यं च कुमाराणां भवस्य च विज्ञानस्य च सत्त्वस्य परस्यात्मा परायणम् धर्मस्य मम तुभ्यं च कुमाराणां भवस्य च विज्ञानस्य च सत्त्वस्य परस्यात्मा परायणम्
धर्मस्य मम तुभ्यं च कुमाराणां भवस्य च विज्ञानस्य च सत्त्वस्य परस्यात्मा परायणम् धर्मस्य मम तुभ्यं च कुमाराणां भवस्य च विज्ञानस्य च सत्त्वस्य परस्यात्मा परायणम्
अहं भवान् भवश्चैव त इमे मुनयो ग्रजाः सुरासुर नगा नागाः खगा मृग सरीसृपाः. Just from this 11 to about I believe about 15, right? About 11 to or 12 to 15, 12 to 16 or something like that. So essentially, as Brahma is kind of describing the Virat Purusha, right? I sent a meaning earlier today, but it's a continuation of that. As he's describing it, he's just describing all these various beings. Because if you remember in one of the previous chapters, Narada had told Brahma that you are the greatest. You created all these people, right? And then Brahma said that's an illusion because only people who don't have the intelligence think that I created it, but it was all created by the Lord. So here Brahma is going to list all these people, saying you, me, all the nagas, all the birds, the beasts, and the yakshas, gandharvas, vidyadharas, all of these people. Say there's not one person who's not created by the Supreme Lord. So everybody is actually created by the Supreme Lord, although all of these people may be big in size. The Lord himself doesn't have any size. He's in the smallest of the atom as well. So even though he's in the smallest of the atom, he still is in everybody and he's responsible for everybody. That's what you'll see a lot of these names come for the next 5 stanzas. So aham bhavan bhavashchaiv taime munayo grajaah surasura naranaghaah khagha mriga sarisrupaah.
अहं भवान् भवश्चैव तैमे मुनयोऽग्रजाः सुरासुरनरा नागाः खगामृगसरीसृपाः अहं भवान् भवश्चैव तैमे मुनयोऽग्रजाः सुरासुरनरा नागाः खगामृगसरीसृपाः.
Sorry, that last word, Priya. Sarisrupaah.
सरीसृपाः.
Yeah, srupa, P.
सरीसृपाः.
अहं भवान् भवच्चैव तैमे मुनयोऽग्रजाः सुरासुरनरा नागाः खगामृगसरीसृपाः अहं भवान् भवच्चैव तैमे मुनयोऽग्रजाः सुरासुरनरा नागाः खगामृगसरीसृपाः.
Gandharvapsaraso, Gandharva Apsara, 2 words there. Gandharvapsaraso Yakshaha. So add a visarga and a comma because we are pausing there. Raksho Bhuta Ganoraghaha Pashavah Pitaras Siddhaha. Again add a visarga comma because we are stopping. Vidyadrash Charanadrumaha. Vidyadrash Charanadrumaha. गन्धर्वाप्सरसो यक्षाः रक्षो भूतगणो रघाः पशवः पितरः सिद्धाः विद्याधराश्चारणाद्रुमाः.
गन्धर्वाप्सरसो यक्षाः रक्षो भूतगणोरगाः पशवः पितरः सिद्धाः विद्याध्राश्चारणाध्रुमाः गन्धर्वाप्सरसो यक्षाः रक्षो भूतगणोरगाः पशवः पितरः सिद्धाः विद्याध्राश्चारणाध्रुमाः
गन्धर्वाप्सरसो यक्षाः रक्षो भूतगणोरगाः पशवः पितरः सिद्धाः विद्याद्राश्चारणाद्रुमाः गन्धर्वाप्सरसो यक्षाः रक्षो भूतगणोरगाः पशवः पितरः सिद्धाः विद्याद्राश्चारणाद्रुमाः
अन्ये च विविधा जीवाः, again visarga and comma there, jala sthala nabhaukasah graharksha, so graha arksha, 2 words, graharksha ketavas taraha, that is there, you put a visarga comma, taraha taditas sthanayitnavaha. अन्ये च विविधा जीवाः जलस्थलनभौकसः ग्रहक्षकेतवस्ताराः तडितस्तनयित्नवः.
अन्ये च विविधा जीवाः जलस्थलनभौकसः ग्रहर्क्षकेतवस्ताराः तडितस्तनयित्नवः. अन्ये च विविधा जीवाः जलस्थलनभौकसः ग्रहर्क्षकेतवस्ताराः तडितस्तनयित्नवः.
अन्ये च विविधा जीवाः जलस्थलनभोकसः ग्रहर्षकयदवस्ताराः तडितस्तनयित्नवः. अन्ये च विविधा जीवाः जलस्थलनभोगसः ग्रहर्षकेतवस्ताराः तडितस्तनयित्नवः.
सर्वं पुरुष एवेदं भूतं भव्यं भवच्च यत् तेनेदम् आवृतं विश्वं बितस्थिम् अधितिष्ठति. सर्वं पुरुष एवेदं भूतं भव्यं भवच्च यत् तेनेदमावृतं विश्वं बितस्थिम् अधितिष्ठति.
सर्वं पुरुष एवेदं भूतं भव्यं भवच्च यत् तेनेदमावृतं विश्वं बितस्थिम् अधितिष्ठति. सर्वं पुरुष एवेदं भूतं भव्यं भवच्च यत् तेनेदमावृतं विश्वं बितस्थिम् अधितिष्ठति.
सर्वं पुरुष एवेदं भूतं भव्यं भवच्च यत् तेनेदमावृतं विश्वं बितस्थिम् अधितिष्ठति. सर्वं पुरुष एवेदं भूतं भव्यं भवच्च यत् तेनेदमावृतं विश्वं बितस्थिम् अधितिष्ठति.
So that first line, that Bhuta Bhavya Bhavat Prabhu, it comes in Vishnu Sahasranam, that's the same thing. Bhutam Bhavyam Bhavat. That it becomes a ich cha because cha is coming later, which is getting that whatever is, Bhutam is whatever is there right now, Bhavyam is whatever will be created in the future, and Bhavat is whatever was created in the past. So that's what
past, future, and present, isn't it, Rajesh?
Yeah, that's right. So it's just saying whatever is there right now and the future and whatever is in the past. In Vishnu Sahasranam, it says you are that, right? You are Bhuta, Bhavya, Bhavat, Prabhu. And here it's the same words are getting used to say whatever was created in the past, now and future, you are common in all of that. You are the person responsible for that. So that's where the common words are coming there. Swadhishnyam pratapan prano, bahischa pratapatyasau, evam virajam pratapan. You'll have a pratapams, you'll have an im on top of the per and the is, which is coming later. Essentially, if you're putting a comma there, it becomes a in. So pratapan, n, comma, and the s also goes away. Tapatyantar bahif puman. Swadhishnyam pratapan prano bahischa pratapatyasau evam virajam pratapan tapatyantar bahif puman.
सुधिष्ण्यं प्रतपन् प्राणो बहिश्च प्रतपत्यसौ एवं विराजं प्रतपन् तपत्यन्तर्बहिः पुमान्. स्वधिष्ण्यं प्रतपन् प्राणो बहिश्च प्रतपत्यसौ एवं विराजं प्रतपन् तपत्यन्तर्बहिः पुमान्
सधिष्ण्यं प्रतपन् प्राणो बहिश्च प्रतपत्यसो एवं विराजं प्रतपन् तपत्यन्तर्बहिः पुमान् सधिष्ण्यं प्रतपन् प्राणो बहिश्च प्रतपत्यसो एवं विराजं प्रतपन् तपत्यन्तर्बहिः पुमान्
So mritasya bhayasyesho, cannot break that word. So mritasya bhayasyesho, comma, martya mannam yadatyagat mahimaisha tato brahman, comma, purushasya dhuratyayah. So I think I'll just certain things I'll just say the meaning. Essentially at the end of the day, he is talking about the Purusha Suktam was what was there, all this. And Brahma is saying here that, that in Antar and Bahi is both in the internally and externally in all of these creatures which are there, which is created, right? Bhagavan is there, both inside and outside. That's why Antar and Bahi is coming there. And says because he's above all. See, we all know birth, we all know death, we all know what's happening in between. We all have our limitations, right? So he says, Brahma says, there's nobody, including me, Brahma says, who can truly talk about the glory of the Lord, because it's impossible. Nobody knows, right? Like, we explained, all the universes combined is only 1/4 of the energy, and the 3/4 is sitting outside. So it says nobody can actually talk about the full scope of the glories of the Lord. सोमृतस्य भयस्येषो मर्त्यमन्नं यदत्यघात् महिमैष ततो ब्रह्मन् पुरुषस्य धुरत्ययः
सोमृतस्याभयस्येषो मर्त्यमन्नं यदत्यगाद महिमैष ततो ब्रह्मन् पुरुषस्य दुरत्ययः सोमृतस्याभयस्येषो मर्त्यमन्नं यदत्यगाद महिमैष ततो ब्रह्मन् पुरुषस्य दुरत्ययः
सोमृतस्याभयस्योषो मर्त्यमन्नं यदत्यगात् महिमैष ततो ब्रह्मन् पुरुषस्य दुरत्ययः सोमृतस्याभयस्योषो मर्त्यमन्नं यदत्यगात् महिमैष ततो ब्रह्मन् पुरुषस्य दुरत्ययः.
Anji, that first line before the comma, bhayas yesho. Okay, I heard yo. It's a yesho. Okay, bhayas yesho. Yeah.
Thank you, Rajesh.
Padeshu sarva bhutani, comma, pumsas iti pado viduhu, amritam kshemam abhayam, comma, trimurdnodhayi murdhasu. पाधेषु सर्वभूतानि पुंसस्थितिपदो विदुः अमृतं क्षेममभयं त्रिमूर्ध्नोधायि मूर्धसु
पादेषु सर्वभूतानि पुंसस्थितिपदो विदुः अमृतं क्षेममभयं त्रिमूर्ध्नोधायि मूर्धसु पादेषु सर्वभूतानि पुंसस्थितिपदो विदुः अमृतं क्षेममभयं त्रिमूर्ध्नोधायि मूर्धसु
पादेषु सर्वभूतानि पुंसस्थितिपदो विदुः अमृतं क्षेममभयं त्रिमूर्ध्नोधायि मूर्धसु पादेषु सर्वभूतानि पुंसस्थितिपदो विदुः अमृतं क्षेममभयं त्रिमूर्ध्नोधायि मूर्धसु
पादास्त्रयो बहिश्चासन. So you have a in double na there. First put in bhischāsan, comma. Next word will start with the aprajanam ya ashramaha antas trilokyas tvaparo, comma, griha medo brihat brataha. So kind of the same thing, kind of saying that the 1/4 is the entire material, all the universes. The 3/4 is outside of that. And in that, all the conditions which remain in the material universe, like you have a beginning, you have an end, you have karma, all of that exists only within the 1/4 of the material universe. In the 3/4 of the place, none of this exists.
Rajesh, what is the last bit in that word in the second line?
Griha medo brihat vrataha.
Vrataha, okay. Thanks.
Yeah, Prabhupada.
Okay.
पाधास्त्रयो बहिश्चासन् अप्रजानाम्य आश्रमाः अन्तस्त्रिलोक्यास्त्वपरो गृहमेधो बृहत्प्रतः
पादास्त्रयो बहिश्चासन् अप्रजानां य आश्रमाः अन्तस्त्रिलोक्यास्त्वपरो गृहमेधो बृहद्व्रतः पादास्त्रयो बहिश्चासन् अप्रजानां य आश्रमाः अन्तस्त्रिलोक्यास्त्वपरो गृहमेधो बृहद्व्रतः
पादास्त्रयो बहिश्चासन् अप्रजानां य आश्रमाः अन्धस्त्रिलोक्यास्तवरो गृहमेधो बृहद्व्रतः पादास्त्रयो बहिश्चासन् अप्रजानान् य आश्रमाः अन्धस्त्रिलोकस्तवरो गृहमेधो बृहद्व्रतः
कृति विचक्रमे विश्वंग इंग साउंड विश्वंग कॉमा शासनानशने उभे यद विद्या च कॉमा पुरुषस्तुभयाश्रयः श्रुति विचक्रमे विश्वंग शासनानशने उभे यद विद्या च पुरुषस्तुभयाश्रयः
श्रुति विचक्रमे विश्वं शासनानशने उभे यद विद्या च पुरुषस्तुभयाश्रयः श्रुति विचक्रमे विश्वं शासनानशने उभे यद विद्या च पुरुषस्तुभयाश्रयः
त्रिदिविचक्रमे विश्वं शासनानशने उभे यदा विद्या च पुरुषस्तु भयाश्रयः
The second line, first word, yada vidya.
यदा विद्या च स्त्री विचक्रमे विश्वं शासनानशने उभे यदा विद्या च पुरुषस्तु भयाश्रयः.
And that first line, I feel like you're adding an extra na there. Sashanana shane.
शासनानशने उभे.
Yasma dandam virat jagne, comma, bhutendriya gunatmakah, tad dravyam atyagad vishwam. If you want to break it, tatma, tad dravyam atyagad vishwam, comma, ghobis surya ivatapan. यस्मादण्डं विराज्जज्ञे भूतेन्द्रियगुणात्मकः तद्द्रव्यम् अत्यगाद्विश्वं घोभिः सूर्य इवातपन्
यस्मादण्डं विराज्जज्ञे भूतेन्द्रियगुणात्मकः तद्द्रव्यमत्यगाद्विश्वं गोभिसूर्य इवातपन् यस्मादण्डं विराज्जज्ञे भूतेन्द्रियगुणात्मकः तद्द्रव्यमत्यगाद्विश्वं गोभिसूर्य इवातपन्
यस्मादण्डं विराज्जज्ञे बोधेन्द्रियगुणात्मकः तद्द्रव्यम् अत्यगाद्विश्वं गोभिः सूर्य इवातपन् यस्मादण्डं विराज्जज्ञे बोधेन्द्रियगुणात्मकः तद्द्रव्यम् अत्यगाद्विश्वं गोभिः सूर्य इवातपन्
यदास्य नाभ्यान् नलिनाथ. So the that is there, we're going to break it. Nalinath, comma, it, comma. Next word starts with the ahamasam mahatmanah navidam yajna sambharan, comma, purusha vayavadrite. यधास्य नाभ्यान्नलिनात् अहमासं महात्मनः नाविदं यज्ञसंभारान् पुरुषावयवादृते.
यदास्य नाभ्यान्नलिनाद अहमासं महात्मनः नाविदं यज्ञसंभारान् पुरुषावयवादृते यदास्य नाभ्यान्नलिनाद अहमासं महात्मनः नाविदं यज्ञसंभारान् पुरुषावयवादृते
यदास्य नाभ्यन्नलिनाद अहमासं महात्मनः नाविदं यज्ञसंभारान् पुरुषावयवादृते यदास्य नाभ्यन्नलिनाद् अहमासं महात्मनः नाविदं यज्ञसंभारान् पुरुषावयवादृते.
So in Purusha Suktam, right? It's got two things when you're saying the Purusha Suktam. One of them is it says the description of the Virat Purusha, which kind of comes, and from whose body, Brahmins, Mukasya Brahmanaha, all of that comes. Then there's a second part in Purusha Suktam also, because this chapter essentially is Purusha Suktam. So if you're not saying Purusha Suktam as it is in the Vedas, this chapter is pretty much replica word by word, right, of what is there. And here, except that Brahma is telling this, right? So here, the second part of it, what Brahma says is, when I have to perform like sacrifices to this Narayana, it is like he's saying, I have to, the materials I need and what I have to say and who I'm doing it to, he says is all the same thing. It is like I am taking the materials which is given by the Purusha, and the mantras which are what I'm chanting is told to me by the Purusha, and who I'm praying to is also the Purusha. So he's saying I'm just like sitting in between. I'm adding no value. You're giving me value, but I'm actually adding no value because everything that is I'm taking, I'm saying, and I'm offering is all the same. So I'm just giving it back to the same person. So next 3-4 stanzas, he says what are all the ingredients required and how it all comes from the same person. Sorry, did we do 22?
Yeah.
Yeah.
तेषु यज्ञस्य पशवः स वनस्पतयः कुशाः इदं च देवयजनं कालश्चोरुगुणान्वितः. तेषु यज्ञस्य पशवः स वनस्पतयः कुशाः इदं च देवयजनं कालश्चोरुगुणान्वितः.
तेषु यज्ञस्य पशवः स वनस्पतयः कुशाः इदं च देवयजनं कालश्चोरुगुणान्वितः. तेषु यज्ञस्य पशवः स वनस्पतयः कुशाः इदं च देवयजनं कालश्चोरुगुणान्वितः.
तेषु यज्ञस्य पशवः स वनस्पतयः कुशाः इदं च देवयजनं कालश्चोरुगुणान्वितः. तेषु यज्ञस्य पशवः स वनस्पतयः कुशाः इदं च देवयजनं कालश्चोरुगुणान्वितः.
वस्तून्योषधय, वस्तूनि ओषधय, but together, वस्तून्योषधयस् स्नेहाः पुटविसर्गा कॉमा रस लोह मृदो जलम ऋचो यजूंषि सामानि कॉमा चातुर्होत्रं च सत्तम. वस्तून्योषधयः स्नेहाः रसलोहमृदो जलम् ऋचो यजूंषि सामानि चातुर्होत्रं च सत्तम.
वस्तून्योषधयः स्नेहाः रसलोहमृदो जलम् ऋचो यजूंषि सामानि चातुर्होत्रं च सत्तम. वस्तून्योषधयः स्नेहाः रसलोहमृदो जलम् ऋचो यजूंषि सामानि चातुर्होत्रं च सत्तम.
वस्तुनोषधयः स्नेहाः रसलोहमृदो जलम् ऋजो यजूंषि सामानि चातुर्होत्रं च सत्तम. वस्तुनोषधयः स्नेहाः रसलोहमृदो जलम् ऋजो यजूंषि सामानि चातुर्होत्रं च सत्तम.
नाम ध्येयानि मंत्राश्च दक्षिणाश्च व्रतानि च देवतानुक्रमः कल्पः संकल्पस्तंत्रमेव च. नामधेयानि मंत्राश्च दक्षिणाश्च व्रतानि च देवतानुक्रमः कल्पः संकल्पस्तंत्रमेव च.
नामधेयानि मन्त्राश्च दक्षिणाश्च व्रतानि च देवतानुक्रमः कल्पः सङ्कल्पस्तन्त्रमेव च. नामधेयानि मन्त्राश्च दक्षिणाश्च व्रतानि च देवतानुक्रमः कल्पः सङ्कल्पस्तन्त्रमेव च.
नामधेयानि मन्त्राश्च दक्षिणाश्च व्रतानि च देवतानुक्रमः कल्पः सङ्कल्पस्तत्रमेव च नामधेयानि मन्त्राश्च दक्षिणाश्च व्रतानि च देवतानुक्रमकल्पः सङ्कल्पस्तन्द्रमेव च
गतयो मतयश् श्रद्धाः पुट विसर्गा comma there प्रायश्चित्तं समर्पणं पुरुषावयवैरेते comma संभारास् संभृता मया गतयो मतयः श्रद्धाः प्रायश्चित्तं समर्पणं पुरुषावयवैरेते संभाराः संभृता मया
गतयो मतयः श्रद्धाः प्रायश्चित्तं समर्पणं पुरुषावयवैरेते संभारा संभृता मया गतयो मतयः श्रद्धाः प्रायश्चित्तं समर्पणं पुरुषावयवैरेते संभारा संभृता मया
गतयो मदयश्रद्धाः प्रायश्चित्तं समर्पणं पुरुषावयवेरेदे संभारा संवृता मया गतयो मदयश्रद्धाः प्रायश्चित्तं समर्पणं पुरुषावयवेरेदे संभारा संवृता मया
इति संभृत संभारः पुरुषावयवैरहं तमेव पुरुषं यज्ञं तेनैवायजं one word तेनैवायजं ईश्वरम् if you want to break it इति संभृत संभारः पुरुषावयवैरहं तमेव पुरुषं यज्ञं तेनैवायजमीश्वरम्
इति संभृतसंभारः पुरुषावयवैरहं तमेव पुरुषं यज्ञं तेनैवायजमीश्वरम् इति संभृतसंभारः पुरुषावयवैरहं तमेव पुरुषं यज्ञं तेनैवायजमीश्वरम्
इति सम्प्रदसंभारः पुरुषावयवेरहं तमेव पुरुषं यज्ञं तेनेवायजमीश्वरम् इति सम्प्रदसंभारः पुरुषावयवेरहं तमेव पुरुषं यज्ञं तेनेवायजमीश्वरम्
ततस्ते भ्रातर इमे प्रजानां पतयो नव अयजन् व्यक्तम् अव्यक्तं पुरुषं सुसमाहिताः ततस्ते भ्रातर इमे प्रजानां पतयो नव अयजन् व्यक्तम् अव्यक्तं पुरुषं सुसमाहिताः
ततस्ते भ्रातर इमे प्रजानां पतयो नव अयजन् व्यक्तमव्यक्तं पुरुषं सुसमाहिताः ततस्ते भ्रातर इमे प्रजानां पतयो नव अयजन् व्यक्तमव्यक्तं पुरुषं सुसमाहिताः
ततस्ते भ्रातर इमे प्रजानां पतयो नव अयजन् व्यक्तमव्यक्तं पुरुषं सुसमाहिताः ततस्ते भ्रातर इमे प्रजानां पतयो नव अयजन् व्यक्तमव्यक्तं पुरुषं सुसमाहिताः
Just switch here. I was thinking we'll stop at the end of this chapter today. I don't want to start a new one. Maybe we'll probably have some 5-10 minutes time. If we have time, we can see if we want to review anything from the past. But anyway, so Jayashree, you can be a student, and Gopiji, you can be a student. Tatascha manavah kale, ijire rishayopare Pitaro vibudha daityaha, add a visarga, you may not have it, daityaha, manushyah kratubhir vibhum. Tatascha manavah kale ijire rishayo pare pitaro vibudha daityaha manushyah kratubhir vibhum.
ततश्च मनः काले ईजिरे ऋषयो परे पितरो विबुधा दैत्याः मनुष्याः क्रतुभिर्विभुम् ततश्च मनः काले ईजिरे ऋषयो परे पितरो विबुधा दैत्याः मनुष्याः क्रतुभिर्विभुम्
ततश्च मनवः काले ईजिरे ऋषयो परे पितरो विबुधा दैत्याः मनुष्याः क्रतुभिर्विभुम् ततश्च मनवः काले ईजिरे ऋषयो परे पितरो विबुधा दैत्याः मनुष्याः क्रतुभिर्विभुम्
नारायणे भगवति तदिदं विश्वमाहितं गृहीत मायोरुगुणः सर्गादाव गुणस्वतः. You cannot break that word, so it's one word. सर्गादाव गुणस्वतः. नारायणे भगवति तदिदं विश्वमाहितं गृहीत मायोरुगुणः सर्गादाव गुणस्वतः.
नारायणे भगवति तदिदं विश्वमाहितं गृहीतमायोरुगुणः सर्गादावगुणस्वतः नारायणे भगवति तदिदं विश्वमाहितं गृहीतमायोरुगुणः सर्गादावगुणस्वतः
नारायणे भगवति तदिदं विश्वमाहितं गृहीतमायोरुगुणः सर्गादावगुणस्वतः नारायणे भगवति तदिदं विश्वमाहितं गृहीतमायोरुगुणः सर्गादावगुणस्वतः
सृजामि तन्नियुक्तोऽहं हरो हरति तद्वशः विश्वं पुरुषरूपेण परिपाति त्रिशक्तिधृक्. सृजामि तन्नियुक्तोऽहं हरो हरति तद्वशः विश्वं पुरुषरूपेण परिपाति त्रिशक्तिधृक्.
सृजामि तन्न युक्तोऽहं हरो हरति तद्वशः विश्वं पुरुषरूपेण परिपाति त्रिशक्तिधृक् सृजामि तन्नियुक्तोऽहं हरो हरति तद्वशः विश्वं पुरुषरूपेण परिपाति त्रिशक्तिधृक्
सृजामि तन्नियुक्तोऽहं हरो हरति तद्वशः विश्वं पुरुषरूपेण परिपाति त्रिशक्तिधृक् सृजामि तन्नियुक्तोऽहं हरो हरति तद्वशः विश्वं पुरुषरूपेण परिपाति त्रिशक्तिधृक्.
So here, just one couple of, this I think I'll explain some meanings as we're going through this. So the other thing, like you kind of always said, right? Although all of these things, that Brahma says, for me to perform all of this, everything I got. And in Purusha Suktam also, he says, from this part of your body, I got this to do the sacrifice. Essentially, what he's saying is everything is coming from you, right? So he says, although all of this is coming, he says, but however, Bhagavan is beyond all of that. So don't, assume that because these material things are coming from him, he's bound by this material energy. So he's not bound by any of this material energy, right? And the other thing is, like in the meaning I sent, we spoke about two Vishnus, right? There was one Vishnu who is kind of, the Karanodakashayi Vishnu, who's the Purusha who triggers the Prakriti, and then each of the universe, one Garbhodakashayi Vishnu comes. And that's what Brahma was saying, that when I came from the Nabhi, so from that Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, who's creating that entire Brahmandam, three beings are formed. One of them is Brahma himself, right? Who's then taking the process of creation. Then there's a process of sustenance which is happening, which will come a little bit later, but that is that the Kshirodakashayi Vishnu. So that is the Vishnu who is in that Karya Vaikuntham, which is a replica of that Vaikuntham, but inside this Brahmandam for the sustenance of the universe. And then the third is the Shiva, who is then helping with it towards the end of the entire Brahmandam as the destruction is coming. So these are the Trinity. So that's why he's saying the three Shakti Dhrika, the three Shaktis who are actually there, are coming from that one Vishnu, which was the Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, who has entered into that Brahmandam. Okay, but however, all those entire Brahmandam came from this Garbhodakashayi Vishnu. He is also beyond all these material things. At the end of the day, he is one of the Amsham of the main Purusha, right? So that's the kind of explanation there.
So Rajeshi, then each Brahmandam has a Brahma and a Shiva, right?
And a Kshirodakashayi Vishnu.
Vishnu, okay.
And a Garbhodakashayi Vishnu.
Okay.
Okay, so there are multiple Brahmandams, right? Because if there is only one Brahmandam, what is the purpose of that Karanodakashaya, it's like he's maintaining only one, right? You don't need one person. It's like, in a corporate hierarchy, there's only one reportee to you. Why do you need to be a manager kind of thing, right? So you cannot think of it that way in the pyramidical structure, right? That the multiple Brahmandams, each of the Brahmandam will have one person who's responsible for it, who's the CEO of that Brahmandam. And from that CEO of the Brahmandam, there are three other players. One who's responsible for creation, one who's for sustenance, and then one, not, I wouldn't use the word destruction, but it is part of a cyclical process, right? So the three deities who are there, who then each of them continue their respective things. That's why when all these demigods, including Brahma, who are inside this Brahmandam, when they need help, during Krishna Avataram, during Matsya Avataram, during Kurma Avataram, and they need help, they go and meet the Vishnu, right? Who says that Vishnu is nobody but the Kshirodakashayi Vishnu, who is in that, because that person is responsible for the sustenance of that universe. So that Vishnu will then help out. But all of them are nothing but a portion of the energy. So it's the same thing. You cannot say that this is superior or this Vishnu is inferior. You cannot compare. At the end of the day, it's the same thing. It is just for doing this job, only so much of my energy is required. So I'm not going to take my full energy to do a small job, right? You just kind of have to think about it in simple terms, right? In that way.
So Rajesh, Brahmandam means the cosmos?
This entire cosmos, which includes the 14 layers of the worlds.
So then why do you say that there are multiple Brahmandams? I mean,
because they say there are multiple Brahmandams. It says this like infinite number of Brahmandams which are there. That's what it says. There's infinite number of, because even in one of in Krishna Avataram, also it doesn't come in Narayaniam, but in general, once even Brahma comes thinking that he is great. So at that time, Krishna invokes all the Brahmas to come. And he says, okay, here look at all these Brahmas who are here. And he says, you Brahma, which is our Brahma, because he's in our Brahmandam, he says, you are not that big. I'll show you another Brahma whose universe, whose 14 worlds are way bigger than yours.
So then is Brahmandam equivalent to Brahman that we say, Sachidananda in Advaita Vedanta? Is it the same?
And the audio, just listen. Okay.
Okay.
I just did today morning,
Okay.
And if it's not clear, ask me again next time.
Okay. Got it.
So there is like multiple hierarchy, So that Brahman which is there, which we are saying is the Karanodakashayi Vishnu, who is there, from whom multiple of these universes are coming. And then that same Vishnu's, a portion of that Vishnu's energy is getting into each of these universe, and then is triggering the creation of the Brahmandam. So there's the difference in the Hiranyanda Brahmanda. I explained it in that thing. So
okay,
thank you. Morning. So sorry about that, but
Rajesh, one more question. Sorry. So the Garbhodakashayi Vishnu is the one creating each Brahmandam, right?
No.
Creating in the sense the ingredients are coming from that Karanodakashayi Vishnu. But to put all these ingredients together and then to form the various worlds. So think of it like an architect of the worlds. If I'm giving you different pieces and you are the cook, so you still have to bring everything together and cook the meal. That is the Garbhodakashayi Vishnu.
And then the Kshirodakashayi Vishnu is doing the day-to-day.
Yeah, responsible for the sustenance of all the beings, because this Vishnu, Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, is just once the creation starts, once the Brahmandam is created, and then when at the end of the Naimittika Pralaya, which is a day of Brahma, when things get absorbed, the bottom worlds and up to the middle worlds get absorbed, it goes back into this Garbhodakashayi Vishnu. And then it will come back from this Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, Brahma, and everybody sprout again. So he's responsible for the beginning and the end, right? He's like the source. But the in-between is all done by the other Vishnu. It's just like a delegation of responsibility. But again, like I said, we don't have to necessarily, it's just for understanding purpose. At the end of the day, it's the same universal energy, Bhagavan, who's doing it. So it is just that, for different purposes, right? Think of it that way. Okay. Okay, I think we're doing 32. Yeah. Iti te bihitam tata, comma, yetedham anupritchasi, nanyat bhagavatah kinchit, that kinchit, comma, bhavyam, that word sad asad atmakam. 3 different words. You can say it together also. Sad asad atmakam or sad asad atmakam. इति ते विहितं तात यतेधम् अनुपृच्छसि नान्यद् भगवतः किञ्चित् भाव्यं सद् असदात्मकम्
इति ते विहितं तात यथेदम् अनुपृच्छसि नान्यद्भगवतः किञ्चित् भाव्यं सदसदात्मकम् इति ते विहितं तात यथेदम् अनुपृच्छसि नान्यद्भगवतः किञ्चित् भाव्यं सदसदात्मकम्
इति ते विहितं तात यथेदम् अनुपृच्छसि नान्यद्भगवतः किञ्चित् भाव्यं सदसदात्मकम् इति ते विहितं तात यथेदम् अनुपृच्छसि नान्यद्भगवतः किञ्चित् भाव्यं सदसदात्मकम्
न भारती मेङ्ग मृषोपलक्ष्यते न वै क्वचिन्मे मनसो मृषा गतिः न मे हृषीकानि पतन्त्यसत्पथे यन्मे हृदौत्कण्ठ्यवथा one word हृदौत्कण्ठ्यवथा धृतो हरिः न भारतीमेङ्गमृषोपलक्ष्यते न वै क्वचिन्मे मनसो मृषा गतिः न मे हृषीकानि पतन्त्यसत्पथे यन्मे हृदौत्कण्ठ्यवता धृतो हरिः
न भारती मेऽङ्गमृषोपलक्ष्यते न वै कचिन्मे मनसो मृषा गतिः न मे हृषीकाणि पतन्त्यसत्पथे यन्मे हृदौत्कण्ठ्यवथा धृतो हरिः न भारती मेऽङ्मृषोपलक्ष्यते न वै क्वचिन्मे मनसो मृषा गतिः न मे हृषीकाणि पतन्त्यसत्पथे यन्मे हृदौत्कण्ठ्यवता धृतो हरिः
न भारतीमेङ्गमृषोपलक्ष्यते न वै क्वचिन्मे मनसो मृषा गतिः न मे हृषीकानि पतन्त्यसत्पथे यन्मे हृद्यौत्कण्ठ्यवता धृतो हरिः न भारतीमेङ्गमृषोपलक्ष्यते न वै क्वचिन्मे मनसो मृषा गतिः न मे हृषीकानि पतन्त्यसत्पथे यन्मे हृद्यौत्कण्ठ्यवता धृतो हरिः
Gopiji, that fourth line or the second line, second half. Yanme hridautkantia.
यन्मे हृदौत्कण्ठ्यवता धृतो हरिः
Yeah. Soham samamnaya mayastapomaya, prajapatinam abhivanditah patihi astaya yogam nipunam samahitah. That is there, put a visargan, tam nadya gacham yata atma sambhavah. So here, so Brahma is telling Narada, he's saying, because I've just got hold of the feet of the Lord Hari, right? I'm just so committed to him. I absolutely trust in him, right? Kind of he's saying, I've just grabbed onto his feet. So he says, because of that, whatever I say has never gone wrong. Because I'm just completely, I have not an ounce of doubt, right? I'm just absolutely committed to it. And so he says, because of that, my mind doesn't get distracted. I'm not bound by any of these senses, and things I say can never be wrong because I'm just so committed to it. And he says, while people, like, because answering Narada's question, he says, well, people may call me as a great Brahma. He's saying, I am the creator of the Vedas, because from Brahma, Vedas spread to everybody else, right? He's done enough, I've done enough austerities, right, in terms of tapas and everything. He says all of that. And even though I myself have been born out of this Vishnu, he says, I myself cannot understand him. So he's saying to Narada that don't, it's impossible for you to understand this true Lord. It is not possible, right? Because even after all of these things, I myself do not understand the truth about the greatness of this Lord, because it is just impossible to understand. I can only tell from my lens. That's what Brahma is saying, right? That, so he says, don't try to complicate too much. I can only tell from my lens what this is. And he says, nobody knows about this more than I do. And even I only know a portion of it. That's what Brahma is saying. But he says one thing is absolutely sure. He says every single thing, the cause and the effect and the thing itself is the same Bhagavan. There's nothing that is outside of him. So as long as you keep that clear, he says, you cannot explain the full magnitude of the Bhagavan here, right? That's what Brahma, because remember again, this is only one Brahma in this one Brahmandam, right? So he's saying it's impossible for me to even comprehend the main Purusha, right? It's just not possible. But he says, just trust me that the whole thing which I'm telling is beyond, is way beyond all of that. सोऽहं समाम्नाय मयस्तपोमयः प्रजापतीनाम् अभिवन्दितः पतिः आस्ताय योगं निपुणं समाहितः तं नाद्य गच्छं यत आत्मसम्भवः
सोऽहं समाम्नाय मयस्तपोमयः प्रजापतीनाम् अभिवन्दितः पतिः आस्थाय योगं निपुणं समाहितः तं नाद्यगच्छं यत आत्मसम्भवः सोऽहं समाम्नाय मयस्तपोमयः प्रजापतीनाम् अभिवन्दितः पतिः आस्थाय योगं निपुणं समाहितः तं नाद्यगच्छं यत आत्मसम्भवः
सोऽहं समाम्नाय मयस्तपोमयः प्रजापतिम् अभिवन्दितः पतिः आस्थाय योगं निपुणां समाहितः स्तं नाध्यगच्छं यत आत्मसम्भवः सोऽहं समाम्नाय मयस्तपोमयः प्रजापतीनामभिवन्दितः पतिः आस्थाय योगं निपुणं समाहितः स्तं नाध्यगच्छं यत आत्मसम्भवः
नतोऽस्म्यहम्.
One more quick question, sorry.
Yeah.
So each Brahmandam, is that a replica? They are all same or are they different?
It could be different, because like I said, the Krishna's example, right? He says there are some Brahmas who are more powerful than our Brahma because the magnitude of what they manage is different, right? But every conversation that is there in all scriptures, Bhagavatam, any Purana you take, anything you take, is only related to our Brahmanda.
Oh, okay.
Because the source of all of this information for us, like in many of these things, is coming from Brahma, right? The Vedas is all coming from Brahma, is the one who's teaching it to everybody else. He got it from Bhagavan, but he is only teaching. So he only knows his jurisdiction.
Okay.
Okay. So we cannot tell anything of what is even happening anywhere else.
Okay.
So that's what even this Brahma thing, I myself don't know, but I know it is big. I just know that much.
Okay. Thank you, Rajesh.
नतोऽस्म्यहं तच्चरणं समीयुषां, भवच्छिदं स्वस्त्ययनं सुमङ्गलं यो ह्यात्म माया विभवं स्म पर्यगात्. You have a dhya, you're going to break it, पर्यगात्, next word starts with a ya, yatha nabhas swantam atapare kutah. नतोऽस्म्यहं तच्चरणं समहीयुषां भवच्छिदं स्वस्त्येनं सुमङ्गलं यो ह्यात्ममाया विभवं स्म पर्यगात् यथा नभस्वान्तमथा परे कुतः.
नतोऽस्म्यहं तच्चरणं समीयुषां भवच्छिदं स्वस्ययनं सुमङ्गलं यो ह्यात्ममाया विभवं स्म पर्यगात् यथा नभस्वान्तम् अथा परे कुतः. नतोऽस्म्यहं तच्चरणं समीयुषां भवच्छिदं स्वस्ययनं सुमङ्गलं यो ह्यात्ममाया विभवं स्म पर्यगात् यथा नभस्वान्तमथा परे कुतः.
नतोऽस्म्यहं तच्चरणं समीयुषां भवच्छिदं स्वस्त्ययनं सुमङ्गलं यो ह्यात्मया विभवं स्म पर्यगाद यथा नभस्वान्दमथा परे कुतः. नतोऽस्म्यहं तच्चरणं समीयुषां भवच्छिदं स्वस्त्ययनं सुमङ्गलं यो ह्यात्ममया विभवं स्म पर्यगाद यथा नभस्वान्दमथा परे कुतः.
Go with the second line, first part. Yo hyatma maya vibhavam. Yo hyatma maya vibhavam.
यो ह्यात्म माया विभवम्. Okay, thank you.
Naham na yuyam yadritam gatim viduhu. Put a visarga comma. On top of the na, there will be ir that will go away. Na vamadeva kimutapare suraha tan mayaya mohita buddhayastvidam. So is and tvi. Buddhayastvidam, comma. Vinirmitam chatmasamam vichakshmahe. Naham na yuyam yadritam gatim viduhu न वामदेवः किमुतापरे सुराः तन्मायया मोहितबुद्धयस्त्विदं विनिर्मितं चात्मसमं विचक्ष्महे.
नाहं न यूयं यदृथां गतिं विदुः न वामदेवः किमुतापरे सुराः तन्मायया मोहितबुद्धयस्त्विदं विनिर्मितं चात्मसमं विचक्ष्महे. नाहं न यूयं यदृथां गतिं विदुः न वामदेवः किमुतापरे सुराः तन्मायया मोहितबुद्धयस्त्विदं विनिर्मितं चात्मसमं विचक्ष्महे.
नाहं न यूयं यदृतां गतिं विदुः न वामदेवः किमुतापरे सुराः तन्मायया मोहितबुद्धयस्त्विदं विनिर्मितं चात्मसमं विचक्ष्महे. नाहं न यूयं यदृतां गतिं विदुः न वामदेवः किमुतापरे सुराः तन्मायया मोहितबुद्धयस्त्विदं विनिर्मितं चात्मसमं विचक्ष्महे.
Again, whatever we said earlier, the same thing. This is where he's telling actually. He's saying that Brahma is telling to Narada that neither you nor me, nor even Lord Shiva, he says, can truly understand the scope of it. So when we ourselves cannot, kimu tapare suraha, all the other demigods who are there, there's no way they will understand because even we cannot understand. So I'm just saying it for our purpose. Even they cannot understand, there's nothing we can also understand. Yeah, and Brahma says it very clearly. Each of us is going to understand the cosmos only to our individual ability. That is how we can understand it. Only to the scope of how much we can, right? So because later on we'll see the whole Bhagavatam is explained to Brahma in 4 stanzas. That is all there is to Bhagavatam. Only 4 stanzas, which then Brahma tells Narada. It becomes big because to explain something you have to say in more depending on the intelligence of the person. You have to keep telling in more. So finally, for us to understand, it is 18,000 stanzas. But really, if you look at it, the core of it is nothing beyond what the Bhagavan is. That's the understanding. But then to help each of us understand it, he has to go through all these detailed explanations of saying, the world came out of this person, the world, he created this person, he takes all these incarnations, all of that to keep hitting in our head that anything and everything you see is Bhagwan only. There's nothing that is not him, right? So that is what he's saying, that each of us will kind of look at it only from our lens, right, to understand this. Yasyavatara karmani, gayanti hyasmadadayah nayam vidanti tatvena, tasmai bhagavate namaha. This is, we have to just prostrate and offer salutations to that Bhagavan. Yasyavatara karmani gayanti hyasmadadayah nayam vidanti tatvena tasmai bhagavate namaha.
यस्यावतारकर्माणि गायन्ति ह्यस्मदादयः नयं विदन्ति तत्त्वेन तस्मै भगवते नमः. यस्यावतारकर्माणि गायन्ति ह्यस्मदादयः नयं विदन्ति तत्त्वेन तस्मै भगवते नमः.
यस्यावतारकर्माणि गायन्ति ह्यस्मदादयः नयं विदन्ति तत्त्वेन तस्मै भगवते नमः. यस्यावतारकर्माणि गायन्ति ह्यस्मदादयः नयं विदन्ति तत्त्वेन तस्मै भगवते नमः.
The other thing he's saying is because it's all this Gayanti, all the things we are talking about and singing about this Bhagavan is only because we can relate to him by defining a certain scope. If you're talking about Krishna Avataram, I can define a clear scope, I can talk about it and praise the Lord. But he's way more than that, right? So he says, because he's just way more. So at least all these things that everybody does is because they are trying to constrain it to the way they can understand. And that's why all these things are there. Just kind of the same thing. Sa esha adyah purushaha, put a visarga comma. Kalpe kalpe srijat yajah. So the next word is a little bit of a tough word because you cannot break it anywhere because of the S symbol which is coming. So you have to say the whole word together. Atmatmanyatmanatmanam. So it's actually three words. Atma, Atmanyatmana, Atmanam. Okay, but you have to say it all together. Atmatmanyatmanatmanam, comma. The next word, this I checked, multiple books have different things there, but I'll tell you what to put. Most of the books you may not have what I'm going to say here. First, it starts with a sa. Sa samyachati cha pati cha. Okay, I think depending on the book, one letter was missing. So it starts with a sa, samyachati cha pati cha. स एष आद्यः पुरुषः कल्पे कल्पे सृजत्यजः आत्मात्मन्यात्मनात्मानं स संयच्छति च पाति च.
स एष आद्यः पुरुषः कल्पे कल्पे सृजत् यजः आत्मात्मन्यात्मनात्मानं संयच्छति च पाति च. संयच्छति.
அதுக்கு முன்னாடி ஒரு ச ஆட் பண்ணிக்கணும். ச ஆத்மானம்க்கு அப்புறம் ச சன்யச்சதி.
How would you spell it in English? Sorry, I didn't get it.
I think you are not saying the sa.
Sanyachati.
Before that, there is a sa.
Oh, so there are two sas.
Yeah. So one is just a sa.
Okay.
Other is
okay. Okay, got it. That is missing from my book.
Yeah.
I didn't get it. Sorry.
Some books don't have that. Some books don't have that.
Okay, sorry. Sa esha adyah purushah kalpe kalpe srijat yajah atmatmanyatmanatmanam sanyachati cha pati cha.
स एष आद्यः पुरुषः कल्पे कल्पे सृजत्यजः आत्मात्मन्यात्मनात्मानं स संयच्छति च पाति च. Okay?
Yeah.
स एष आद्यः पुरुषः कल्पे कल्पे सृजत्यजः आत्मात्मन्यात्मनात्मानं स संयच्छति च पाति च.
विशुद्धं केवलं ज्ञानं, प्रत्यक् सम्यक् अवस्थितं. If you want to break that, सम्यक् अवस्थितं. सत्यं पूर्णम् अनाद्यन्तं, निर्गुणं नित्यम् अद्वयम्. विशुद्धं केवलं ज्ञानं प्रत्यक् सम्यक् अवस्थितं. सत्यं पूर्णम् अनाद्यन्तं निर्गुणं नित्यम् अद्वयम्.
विशुद्धं केवलं ज्ञानं प्रत्यक् सम्यग् अवस्थितं सत्यं पूर्णमनाद्यन्तं निर्गुणं नित्यमद्वयम्. विशुद्धं केवलं ज्ञानं प्रत्यक् सम्यग् अवस्थितं सत्यं पूर्णमनाद्यन्तं निर्गुणं नित्यमद्वयम्.
विशुद्धं केवलं ज्ञानं प्रत्यक् सम्यक् अवस्थितं सत्यं पूर्णमनाद्यन्तं निर्गुणं नित्यमद्वयम्. विशुद्धं केवलं ज्ञानं प्रत्यक् सम्यक् अवस्थितं सत्यं पूर्णमनाद्यन्तं निर्गुणं नित्यमद्वयम्.
ऋषे विदन्ति मुनयः, प्रशान्तात्मेन्द्रियाश्रयाः. One word. Prashantatmendriya. So it's a Prashanta Atma Indriya Ashaya. 4 words, but can I say it together? Yada Tadeva Sattarkaihi. So that is there. Remove it, put a visarga comma. तदेवासत्तर्कैः तिरो धीयेत विप्लुतम् ऋषे विदन्ति मुनयः प्रशान्तात्मेन्द्रियाशयाः यदा तदेवासत्तर्कैः तिरोधीयेत विप्लुतम्
ऋषे विदन्ति मुनयः प्रशान्तात्मेन्द्रियाशयाः यदा तदैवासत्तर्कैः तिरोधीयेत विप्लुतम् ऋषे विदन्ति मुनयः प्रशान्तात्मेन्द्रियाशयाः यदा तदेवासत्तर्कैः तिरोधीयेत विप्लुतम्
ऋषे विदन्ति मुनयः प्रशान्तात्मेन्द्रियाशयाः यदा तदेव can you say that one more time, Rajesh?
तदेवासत्तर्कैः
तदेवासतर्कैः
करेक्ट
तदेवासतर्कैः तिरोधीयेत विप्लुतम् ऋषे विदन्ति मुनयः प्रशान्तात्मेन्द्रियाशयाः यदा तदेवासतर्कैः तिरोधीयेत विप्लुतम्.
that word Gopiji again तदेवासत् it तदेवासत्
तर्कैः तदेवासतर्कैः
करेक्ट आद्योऽवतारः पुरुष परस्य कालस् स्वभावस् सदसन् मनश्च द्रव्यं विकारो गुण इन्द्रियाणि विराट् स्वराट् स्तास्नु चरिष्णु भूम्नः आद्योऽवतारः पुरुषः परस्य कालस्वभावः सदसन्मनश्च द्रव्यं विकारो गुण इन्द्रियाणि विराट् स्वराट् स्तास्नु चरिष्णु भूम्नः
आद्योऽवतारः पुरुषः परस्य कालस्वभावः सदसन्मनश्च द्रव्यं विकारो गुण इन्द्रियाणि विराट् स्वराट् स्थास्नु चरिष्णु भूम्नः आद्योऽवतारः पुरुषः परस्य कालस्वभावः सदसन्मनश्च द्रव्यं विकारो गुण इन्द्रियाणि विराट् स्वराट् स्थास्नु चरिष्णु भूम्नः
आद्योऽवतारः पुरुषः परस्य कालस्वभावः सदसात्मनश्च द्रव्यं विकारो गुण इन्द्रियाणि विराट् स्वराट् विराट् स्वराट् स्थास्नु चरिष्णु भूम्नः आद्योऽवतारः पुरुषः परस्य कालस्वभावः सदसात्मनश्च द्रव्यं विकारो गुण इन्द्रियाणि विराट् स्वराट् स्थास्थुनुश्चरिष्णु भूम्नः.
That first line, last word, sadasan, in sound. Sadasan. It is it only, sad asad, but because ma is coming, it becomes an in. So sadasan manascha.
Sadasan manascha.
So here, this 41 is pretty much what we just spoke about, and this again there in the description, the meaning I sent is what he's saying, that this Adhya Purusha, which is the Karanodakashayi Vishnu, he is responsible for the whole time and all the ingredients. Like if I think of a simple baking example, all the ingredients you are getting is one person who is responsible. Right? So that person is responsible for the concept of cause, effect, time, the mind, all the elements which are there, which are getting created. So that is one person who's responsible. And then the other Vishnu is the one who's kind of bringing it all together and creating the final product, right? Which is the Garbhodakashayi Vishnu. Anyway, that's what he's also just kind of summarizing here. But Aham Bhavo Yajna Ime Prajeshaha, Putta Visarga, Prajeshaha, Dakshadayo Ye Bhavadadayascha, Swarloka Palah, Khagaloka Palaha, because we are pausing, put a comma there. Nriloka Pala, Sthala Loka Palaha. So again, in this and the next, he'll describe everybody's name, right? Who are there in this loka, who is there in this loka. And he says at the end of the day, all of them are coming from the same Bhagavan, and there's no difference, right? That's what he's saying in these two stanzas. Aham bhavo yajna ime prajeshaha dakshadayo ye bhavadadayascha swarlokapalah khagalokapalah nrilokapalah sthalalokapalah.
Aham bhavo yajna ime prajeshaha dakshadayo ye bhavadadayascha swarlokapala khagalokapalaha nrilokapala stalalokapalaha. Aham bhavo yajna ime prajeshaha dakshadayo ye bhavadadayascha swarlokapala khagalokapalaha nrilokapala stalalokapalaha.
अहं भवो यज्ञ इमे प्रजेशाः दक्षादयो ये भवदादयश्च स्वर्लोकपाला खगलोकपालाः नर्लोकपालास्तललोकपालाः
That last line, nriloka.
Okay, नृलोक. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you, Rajesh. अहं भवो यज्ञ इमे प्रजेशाः दक्षादयो ये भवदादयश्च स्वर्लोकपाला खगलोकपालाः नृलोकपालास्तललोकपालाः.
Gandharva Vidyadhara Charaneshaha. Again, Visarga comma. Ye Yaksha Rakshoraga Nagha Nathaha Eva Rishinam Rishabhaf Pitrunam, comma, Daitendra Siddheshwara Danavendraha Anye cha ye preta pishacha bhuta kushmanda yado mriga pakshya dishaha. That line is together. You can put a plus in the middle after bhuta pakshya dishaha. So he's just listing pretty much everybody, right? It says even if it's bhutam and pishacham and pretam and kushmanda and whatever it is, always remember that there's nobody who is independent of Bhagwan. They all are come from the same person. It's just that the various levels of consciousness, right, that is there in everybody. But there's no difference. You cannot say one is not Bhagavan, or they may all, whether they have a very particular strength, particular mental ability or dexterity or capabilities that they might have. Some of them may speak truth, some of them may not speak truth. All of that, they might have different forms, but at the end of the day, they are all of them have come from the same Bhagavan. So always remember that. That's what Brahma is also saying here. Gandharva Vidyadhara Charaneshaha Ye Yaksha Raksho Ragana Ganataha Ye Varishinam Vrishabhaf Pitrunam Taitendra Siddheshwara Dhanavendraha Anye cha ye preta pishacha bhuta kushmanda yado mriga pakshya dishaha.
Rajesh, in the third line, what is the conjunction for the Visargam? It is a F, right? Before Pitrunam.
Ama, F adukku, ama.
Okay. Gandharva Vidyadhara Charaneshaha Ye Yaksha Raksho Ragana Ganathaha Ye Varishinam Rishabhaf Pitrinam Daitrendra Siddheshwara Danavendraha Anye cha ye preta pishacha bhuta kushmanda yado mrigapaksha dhishaha Gandharva Vidyadhara Charaneshaha Ye Yaksha Raksho Ragana Ganathaha ये वा ऋषीणां वृषभाः पितॄणां दैत्रेन्द्र सिद्धेश्वर दानवेन्द्राः अन्ये च ये प्रेतपिशाच भूत कूष्माण्डयादो मृगपक्ष्यधीशाः.
गन्धर्वविद्याधरचारणेशाः ये यक्षरक्षो रगनागनाधाः ये वा ऋषीणां मृगभाः पितॄणां दैतेन्द्रसिद्धेश्वर दानवेन्द्राः अन्ये च ये प्रेतपिशाचभूत कूष्माण्डयादो मृगपक्ष्यधीशाः. गन्धर्वविद्याधरचारणेशाः ये यक्षरक्षो रगनागनाधाः ये वा ऋषीणां वृषभापितॄणां दैतेन्द्रसिद्धेश्वरदानवेन्द्राः अन्ये च ये प्रेतपिशाचभूत कूष्माण्डयादो मृगपक्षधृधीशाः.
Yeah,
Yes.
Jay,
Yeah.
this 42, the 42 has all these all together, right?
Yeah,
So
42 and 43.
So which one is, where is 42 ending? Is that after Dhanavendra?
No.
Or
42
is
is
it?
Nirlokapala, Thalalokapalaha.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
Oh, okay.
your book might have maybe the third line. It might have just moved in
Oh,
number,
I
but I'm just saying.
think 42 is not there in my book.
Oh, okay.
It's in the next one. Okay, I got it now.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I think they might have just moved the number. Sometimes, where the three lines comes, they might have just moved it up or down in certain prints. That's
Yeah.
all.
Thank you. I think I got it now.
Yat kim cha loke bhagavan mahasvat. So the that is there, you put a it, comma, mahasvat. Next word starts with the O. Ojas sahasvat balavat kshamavat Shri Hri Vibhutyatmavat. So in some books are missing a da after that va. So Shri Hri Vibhutyatmavat Adbhutarnam. So the that is coming there, which was not there in my book originally, you have to add a da if you don't have it and make it a it and a a. So Shri Hri Vibhutyatmavat Adbhutarnam, comma, Tatvam Param Rupavat Aswarupam. Okay, if anybody has a question, stop me here. Yat kimcha loke bhagavan mahasvat ओजस्सहस्वत् बलवत् क्षमावत् श्रीह्री विभूत्यात्मवत् अद्भुतार्णं तत्त्वं परं रूपवदस्वरूपम्
यत्किञ्च लोके भगवन्महस्वत् ओजःसहस्रद्बलवत् क्षमावत् श्रीह्रीविभूत्यात्मवत् अद्भुतार्णं तत्त्वं परं रूपवद् अस्वरूपम्.
Just one time is enough.
Oh, sorry.
No worries.
यत्किञ्च लोके भगवन्महस्वद ओजस्सहस्वद्बलवत् क्षमावत् श्रीह्रीविभूत्यात्मवत् अद्भुतार्णं तत्त्वं परं रूपवदस्वरूपम्.
प्राधान्यतो यानृष आमनन्ति कम लीलावतारान् पुरुषस्य भूम्नः आपीयतां कर्ण कषाय शेषान्, so that न put a in, comma, अनुक्रमिष्ये त इमान् सुपेशान्. प्राधान्यतो यानृष आमनन्ति लीलावतारान् पुरुषस्य भूम्नः आपीह्यतान् कर्ण कषाय शेषान् अनुक्रमिष्येत इमान् सुपेशान्.
प्राधान्यतो यानृष आमनन्ति लीलावतारान् पुरुषस्य भूम्नः आपीयतां कर्णकषाय शोषान् अनुक्रमिष्येत इमान् सुपेशान्.
प्राधान्यतो यानृष आमनन्ति लीलावतारान् पुरुषस्य भूम्नः आपीह्यतां कषाय शोषान् अनुक्रमिष्येत इमान् सुपेशान्.
इति श्रीमद्भागवते महापुराणे पारमहंस्यां संहितायां द्वितीयस्कन्धे षष्ठोऽध्यायः.
इति श्रीमद्भागवते महापुराणे पारमहंस्यां संहितायां द्वितीयस्कन्धे षष्ठोऽध्यायः.
We'll stop here. Shri Hare
Rajesh,
Namaha.
sorry, one more question, Rajesh.
Ah,
So the avatarams of Bhagavan, is it the Kshirodakashayi Vishnu that's taking all the avatarams in our Brahmandam?
Yes, correct. Yeah, that's the one they all go and pray to.
Okay. And when we say moksham, we are trying to get to the Garbhodakashayi Vishnu of our Brahmandam, right?
Eventually, final liberation is you are going out of the Brahmandam.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
You find it because the moment you are inside the Brahmandam, you are bound by karma, You're bound by a start date and you're bound by an end date. You have to be born again. To escape rebirth, you have to go out of this Brahmandam. So in the explanation I gave, I kept saying the word layers which are there in simple ways. So when your soul is exiting, you still have the gross body, and then you have the subtle body which still has the individuality. It still knows it's me, right? Rajesh, it still knows that. I will still have the ability of the Jnanendriyangal, in the sense I will still be able to see things. I will still be able to do things, right? I will still have all of those things, but I'll have a subtle body. Because then as I go, when I'm talking about even getting liberated, I'm saying you can still go, and then if you can still go and be in the various planetary systems and do various things, you will still have a subtle body to be able to do it. Okay. But eventually, when you're going, you kind of go in the reverse order. You start shedding layers, right? Everything. And then finally, you'll have that core Paramatma in you is the only thing left in very simple things, right? You keep shedding every layer off, and then you'll go and merge into the Purusha. So at that time, the final liberation is merging with the Karanodakashayi Vishnu or that Purusha. But if you're dying and you're going to be born again, you're still inside this Brahmandam only.
So, Rajesh, the layer above Brahmandam will be Hiranyagarbha, right? The seed form?
Yeah, and the seed form, which is called as a Hiranyandam,
Mm-hmm.
that is like the beginning of Brahman. The Hiranyandam, think of it as
Okay.
it is not fully cooked egg. Think of
Got
it
it.
that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
But it is
thanks.
fully cooked, then it becomes, you call it Brahmandam. That's all. It's the same thing. It's just a state before and after state.
Okay, thank you.
Shri Hare Namaha, Shri Hare Namaha, Shri Hare Namaha. Gopika Jeevana Smaranam Govinda Govinda. Sadgurunath Maharaj Ki Jai. कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृते स्वभावात् करोमि यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायेति समर्पयामि. And this will get a little bit more detailed as we go to the third canto. And then later on, when we go to the fourth canto, where the Kapilavatam and all is happening, when Kapila is saying to Devahuti about Sankhya Yoga, the technical stuff will all come. But this is kind of a little bit of a grounding. Once you get a general idea of how things are, then you can go into a little bit more explanations as we go, right?
So this is more towards Sankhya, right?
Yeah, but at the end of the
Prakriti
day,
and Purusha, and then only
Yoga is just
after that.
saying, the only difference is Sankhya Yoga is saying, I still have this Purusha and I have this Prakriti.
Prakriti, correct.
But it's not saying that the Purusha is the supreme Bhagavan. It just says there's a supreme something which is there, but it's kind of saying, it's not just using the word that is a supreme God or Bhagavan who's doing all of these things. It says there's two things, one which is unaffected and one which is affecting portion of it. So that we'll see it when we come to the Kapilavatam, but that's the subtle difference, right? But the steps are pretty much the same of how it is happening. It is saying as long as this Purusha this Prakriti is, if the Purusha, whoever is not impacted by this Prakriti, which is everything material, right?
Mm-hmm.
He says then you are not a Jivatma anymore.
Right.
Because you're not bound by any of these things. So that's why in Sankhya Yoga it says it's all of these things plus Purusha.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't count Purusha in this list. Okay, but now Purusha itself, all of this other scriptures, other yoga, all scriptures will say that's Bhagavan. Sankhya Yoga doesn't use that word. It just leaves it as a Purusha.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you, everybody. See you next Sunday then. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, everybody.